Here's how to speak and a little bit about perhaps how to explain in English the first 4 lines of Alcuin of York's poem, The Nightingale. It is written in a meter called elegiac couplet, and recall that Latin poetry is based on arranging long and short syllables in particular patterns. The long syllables should be stretched out or held roughly twice as long for twice as much time as the short syllables, creating a certain rhythm. So in this meter elegiac couplet, we have one line of 6 feet and then another line of 5 feet, which is really 2.5, then 2.5, with a pause in between. Quae te dex tra me he ra bu it lu ski ni ru skis. So those, I think, are the long and short syllables in the first line, and they would be divided. I'm sorry, the I goes with the M there. The feet would be divided like so that there are either a long and then short in a foot, or a long and a long. So we have this pattern, and I think Alcuin's cheating on this I. He seems to be treating it as long, when according to the lexica it is short. Luscinia is the word for nightingale. So again, the pattern goes something like this. Quae te dextra mihi rapuit, luscinia ruskis. And then that is the first part of a sentence. The sentence then finishes up in the following line. Il la me I fu erat in we. No, scratch that. We have to remember that this line has 5 syllables, and there is a sort of sharp caesura or pause in between. Each half of the line is 2.5 feet. 2.5 feet in each half of the line. Il la me I fu at. So 2.5 feet. Il me I fu erat, pause. In vida li ti I. So 2.5 feet in the latter portion of the line. So the whole line would sound something like this. Il me I fu erat, in vida li ti I. So the second set of lines would have a similar pattern, 6 feet, and then two halves, 2 half lines for a total of 5 feet each. Tu mea dulcision nisim plesti pectora musis. Let me try that one again. Tu mea dulcision nisim plesti pectora musis. At quanimum moistum carmine mellifluo. So there's a caesura or strong pause here, and an elision here. In poetry, if one syllable ends with a vowel, or rather if one word ends with a vowel or an M, and the following word begins with the vowel, you can drop out that first vowel and pronounce. You can kind of run the words together and drop out a syllable. Poets will do this for the sake of meter. At quanimum moistum carmine mellifluo. Let's erase all that and take a quick look at a little bit of what the poem means in English, although I haven't figured it all out myself. So this seems to be feminine singular and nominative, and it means, to the best of my knowledge, right hand. So the right hand, that's our subject, which, relative pronoun, snatched you. So te, you, is our accusative. And who is the you? It's the Luscinia, the nightingale. So Alcuin is talking to the nightingale in this poem. So the right hand, dextra, which snatched you. And then we have mihi in the dative case, possibly a dative of reference. So even though it's in the dative case, it means to me. I'm inferring that it probably means away from me in this context. I'm not sure. The right hand which snatched you away from me. And then we have the word for brooms in the nominative, in the plural, I'm assuming ablative, and an ablative of instrument. So the right hand which snatched you away from me by means of brooms. So trying to picture this, maybe there was a nightingale singing in the backyard. Somebody went out there and shoot it away with a broom. That is the only meaning I could give to this. Quite possibly something else. Okay. Illa, I'm taking as referring to dextra. That right hand had been envious of my happiness. So whoever shooed the nightingale away was jealous of how happy the nightingale's singing was making the poet. That's the end of that sentence. Then we get another sentence. To, here is in the nominative case, you implewisti. That is a syncopated form of the second person singular perfect indicative active form of impleo, to fill up, second conjugation verb. So, to implewisti, you filled up my pectora. That is neuter, plural, and accusative, but in this case, pectora, the word for chest or breast, means the heart, but it's plural. And that's, I think, a kind of a common expression in medieval Latin. I've seen it in other poetry, that chests in the plural really means the heart. So you filled up my heart with muses, the goddesses of poetry and the arts, who were sweet. Now, this is a word I could not find in the lexica, but it might be a noun coined from the word dulcis, meaning sweet, muses of sweetness, perhaps. So it might be feminine, singular, and genitive from a coined noun, dulcicio. So you filled my heart with muses or music, perhaps, of sweetness. And then the sentence continues, atque, and, with a honey sweet song or honeyed song, ablative of instrument. I'm taking the verb as continuing on into this part of the sentence. You filled my grieving spirit. So you filled my heart with muses or music of sweetness, and you filled my grieving spirit with honeyed song. This is a stretch, but it's possible that this might be an allusion to a religious poem called Veni Creator Spiritus. And in that poem, the Holy Spirit is called upon, a divine person, is called upon to fill the pectora, the hearts of believers, with all of the spiritual graces. So that same expression, pectora, is used in this religious song and ablative of instrument for the various spiritual graces. So there might be a gentle allusion to that religious poem in this song as well. So we have a basic idea of what these first two lines of poetry are about, and we are able to speak them. I will try the speaking one more time. My voice is a bit rough this morning. Quae te dextra mehi rapuit luscinia ruscis, illa meae fuerat, in vida laetitiae, tu mea dulcisionis implesti pectora musis, at quanimum moistum, carmine mellifluo,